Tony Sperano, he's been perfect in December in his 2 years, 6-0. And Jeff Fisher, as he has throughout his 16 years as head coach, rallying his team from a tough 0-6 start and still with hope. Kenny Britt is back to return the kickoff for Tennessee, the wide receiver from Rutgers, breaking tackles and out to the 23-yard line. That was a bit of a twist, wasn't it? And dangerous Chris Johnson, the second-year runner from East Carolina, the leading rusher in the league, and he gets the call on first down, sweeping, trying to get outside, and cuts back into the teeth of that Dolphin defense after a gain of a couple. Jason Taylor cut off the corner. Young steps up and throws long for Scaife, the tight end, juggles, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Vontae Davis, and Davis of the Dolphins finally drilled at the 25-yard line by Vince Young. How about the hit by Young, making temporary amends for the interception. Not his fault, as the ball was batted around by both receiver and defender.
Well, great coverage by Channing Crowder as the ball was underthrown to Scaife, and heads up by Vontae Davis, and then check out the revenge hit right there by Vince Young. Great field position to start for the Dolphins, but a forced throw by Young turns into an interception for the Dolphins.
Vontae Davis, a rookie from Illinois, with his fourth interception. He leads Miami. Ricky Williams, the tailback, behind second-year quarterback Chad Henne. Henne steps away from pressure and scrambles forward inside the 20-yard line, and a pickup of nearly 8 yards. Second and short. Running behind Polite, the fullback. It's Williams burrowing his way to a first down at the 13-yard line. William Hayes made the tackle. First down. Williams fumbled 3 times last week. Lost one of those fumbles. You saw him very careful about how he protected the ball into the middle of that Tennessee line. Shotgun Henne. Looking to the end zone, and it's caught. Was he inbounds, Camarillo? No. Pushed wide out of play by Nick Harper, the cornerback.
That's a good read by Chad Henne, because it's a single coverage on the outside. Harper does not buy the out route, and a good call by the officials as the left foot of Camarillo clearly comes down out of bounds. Interesting defensive alignment that time. 4 linebackers for the Titans there. Keith Bullock had the coverage of a wide receiver on the other side of the field.
Third down and 8 at the 11-yard line. And the whistle, flag throw. No, timeout is the call. Vince Young intercepted on his first throw today. Watches as Miami huddles third down and 8. As Vontae Davis, who picked off the carom and the interception. Miami second in the league on third downs this year, but here's a 3rd and 8 from the 11. Henne underneath, complete to the tight end, Anthony Fasano, and Fasano to the 5-yard line is short of the first down by a yard.
Yeah, decision time for Tony Sperano. Just a yard to go for the first down on 4th down. And he'll send the field goal team out to get the early lead and to pay off the Vontae Davis interception of Vince Young.
Dan Carpenter, who has missed only 2 all year, 19 for 21, the former Montana Grizzly. Montana common denominator here. Jeff Fisher's son, a senior for the University of Montana. They lost in the finals the other night in Chattanooga to Villanova. Carpenter bangs it through from 23 yards. Dolphins get the field goal after the interception by Davis. 23-yard Carpenter kick, and here's the kickoff down to the goal line. And Kenny Britt, the lanky wide receiver. And he is hit shy of the 20-yard line and pushed back by a good Dolphin cover team. So for Miami, you fans down in South Florida, here's how the Dolphins win the AFC East. They have to win all 3 games now, to get in the playoffs, and then hope that the Patriots lose 1 of their 3 to earn a wild card spot. They need one of the following: win all 3 themselves, and then a Ravens loss or a Broncos loss to the Raiders or the Chiefs. So I know you're following those other scores as well, and stay with us. We'll have updates from New York and, of course, all the scores at halftime.
And one of the things Miami has in their favor, 2 home games to end the season against Houston and Pittsburgh.
Young, his first pass intercepted. He's going to throw on first down over the middle. Oh, that one's deflected and almost into the arms of Jeremiah Bell. Toss to Johnson, looking to cut back, and read well by the Dolphin defense. Jason Taylor again holding his line on the edge.
Yeah, the big saying around the league when you face a Chris Johnson is the edge, and you try to set that edge. We saw Joey Porter do it earlier. This is just real good job of pass protection there for Vince Young, and then the incomplete pass. Channing Crowder now with 2 big plays in the passing game caused the interception earlier.
So 3rd and 10 as Johnson not able to pick up a yard on his carry. Young looking down the middle and throws complete. It's to Lavelle Hawkins, and Hawkins streaking down the sidelines into Miami territory to the 49-yard line before Jabril Wilson could drag him down.
Just his 7th catch of the year, but you can see the explosiveness of the second-year player out of California. Young gave him a good pass to run with after the catch, working on the inside there against Nathan Jones, but the explosion after the catch, Wilson does a nice job of chasing him down from behind, but already into Dolphin territory is Lavelle Hawkins.
He played on the same college team with Deshaun Jackson, who's starring in Philadelphia. And here's Chris Johnson, and his first sizable run is good for about 10 plus before Joey Porter can trip him up.
Yeah, and he says he likes to run between the tackles. He runs well everywhere. But the hesitation here at the line, then the vision, the explosion, and Joey Porter is found dragging Johnson down from behind, 1 step away from a score.
8 consecutive 100-yard games for Johnson as he's piling up the yards, working towards 1,700. Young barking him out, giving to Johnson, trying to get around the corner. He does. And that's where he's most dangerous if he can find the open field. Finally pushed out of bounds. 2,000 yards. It is a very elite fraternity. Eric Dickerson, Jamal Lewis, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, and O.J. Simpson, the only players in a single season. Of course, the 16-game schedule has helped all of those men.
Well, O.J. did it in just 14 games back in 1973. Chris Johnson has his eyes on Eric Dickerson.
4 yards for Johnson on first down. Young under pressure, throwing incomplete for Bo Scaife, the tight end. Jeremiah Bell on the coverage.
You don't see that very often. Scaife and Vince Young, of course, go back to their days in Austin, Texas at the University of Texas. But that's a good read by Young. He found his tight end with single coverage on the safety Bell. He just overthrew him by about a yard.
What's your call here, Dan Fouts? They're down and 6 at the 34.
Well, you know, you always want to give Chris Johnson a chance, whether it's on a draw play or a screen. It wouldn't surprise me if with this type of field position, his number gets called.
Out of the shotgun, Johnson to the left of Young. He goes into the pattern. Young scrambling. Gets out of a tackle, has the first down at the 27-yard line. Good scramble by Young, and that's what makes him so difficult to defend.
It's not a bad option either. Just let him have the ball. But the fans were holding their breath here as Young took off, because this is a test of that right leg. That move right there, and then knowing he's got the first down, that's enough. Get down on the ground. That's the orders from headquarters. Jeff Fisher says, get what you can, and then get down and protect yourself.
Young, the number 3 rusher in the league for quarterbacks, gives it to Johnson, and Johnson to the 25-yard line, and a gain of 2.5. Johnson, boy, you could just feel the crowd building to a crescendo as there was a slight hole there, and then it slammed shut as Aiken Adell made the tackle.
And that was a kind of a risky tackle, dangerous tackle, as Chris Johnson, I'm sure he's feeling that right now. He was bent over backwards, and you wonder about whether that might have hurt an ankle or a knee.
Stays in, 3rd down and 5. Young stepping up and throwing to the end zone. Touchdown, Justin Gage. Gage, the former Missouri star, with his second touchdown reception of the year.
He got behind Nathan Jones and Jabril Wilson. Good read by Young, because the inside coverage of Wilson never saw the ball go right over the top of his head, right to the back of the end zone. A fantastic throw by Vince Young.
Having trouble getting the full complement of players on the field for the extra point. Finally, Bo Scaife comes out as Gage receives due congratulations from his teammates and, of course, from the man who threw him the ball.
Pretty good bounce back by Vince Young. First pass picked off. Didn't let it bother him. Took the team right down for this touchdown drive.
Rob Baronis adds the extra point. He's kicking well again this year, 23 for 27, and he's got the long leg. He has 5 out of 6 from the 50 yards and farther, and he's got it teed up. Not a bad report card for a guy that played in the Arena League and was a security guard. When he finally came here to the Titans, he didn't even rent a house. He stayed in the hotel. He didn't know if he'd ever get cut. That was a good hit. And welcome back to Nashville. Well orchestrated drive using run and pass, and Vince Young 22 yards on the throw for the touchdown. Chris Johnson on the drive, 5 carries for 20 yards. From the 21, Miami starts this sequence, and a penalty as jumping into the offensive line. One of the big boys up front looked to be Kevin Vickerson.
Encroachment, defense, number 96, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Go back to the touchdown pass from Vince Young to Justin Gage. Here's Nathan Jones. There is Jabril Wilson. And watch Wilson. The ball goes right over the top of his head. Good concentration by Gage to get his feet down and secure the catch for his second TD reception of the year. Beautiful play.
1st and 5. Ricky Williams at tailback. And the former Heisman Award winner at Texas gets a couple across the 25-yard line. Tulloch and Bullock, linebackers, in on the stop. Williams told us that he's continuing his studies and finished his algebra class. He's about 14 units shy of his degree. University of Texas, wants to be an osteopath.
I think he'd be a good one, too. He understands the sensitivity involved with healing without necessarily taking out the knife.
On 2nd down, it's Williams again, just pushing the pile out to the 30-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 1. Dickerson and others with the tackle.
That's a pretty good rugby scrum right there. As you can see, Williams kept his feet, and the offensive line just started to push him on down the field. Stayed on his feet, turned backwards, and then the scrum is on. Wow. You want to play football, do you?
Big boy pads on today. So much at stake. No room for error. 3rd down 1. Polite now is the running back. He's 12 for 12 on 3rd and 4th down and short, and he continues to be perfect as he's across the 35 to the 37-yard line. Polite, who played at University of Pittsburgh, now 13 for 13 on short yardage, getting the 1st down. Henne throwing it complete to Best. Devon Best, no, he was off the field of play, didn't get both feet in, as he thought he had a catch inside the Tennessee 45.
Yeah, not very good awareness by Best, because that was a beautiful throw by Henne. But loses track of where he is on the field right here. Jumps up in the air when he really didn't have to. If he stays on the ground, knows where the sideline is, he might be able to drag his toes and stay in bounds.
Leading receiver for the Dolphins with 62 catches. Best, who played his college ball at Hawaii. 2nd and 10. Throw underneath to Williams, a little screen, but too many blue shirts there. Only a gain of a yard. Gerald McGrath, the rookie linebacker, playing for David Thornton, making the stop.
And Kevin Vickerson as well, kind of atoning for his offside penalty moments ago. Read that screen, got out there along with McGrath, and that's just good penetration and then good pursuit by the defensive lineman.
Camarillo to the left, Best to the right. Henne to the shotgun. 3rd and 9. Jacob Ford almost offside, got back, and he gets after Henne, can't bring him down, and he gets him on his second chance. Jacob Ford from Central Arkansas. That's 4.5 sacks for him this year.
He was kind of determined to get after the quarterback, wasn't he? Almost jumped off sides, got back onside. Number 78 right here. Watch this relentless pursuit of the quarterback. Misses him there on the turf, gets back up and brings him down for a sack. Great job by Ford.
Brandon Fields to punt. He's averaging just under 46 a kick. Alvin Pierman back, a long line drive kick. Pierman has a chance to return from inside the 15, and he's dragged down at the 24-yard line. Chris Johnson back with a handoff and runs right into a hungry tackler as that ball went right into the defense. Aiken, Nadell, and others.
You know, watching Chris Johnson, you hold your breath every time he's handed the ball, but he does get tackled for a lot of losses, a lot of no gains. But it's never quite, you're never quite sure, because he can break out of those piles and be gone in an instant. He's got such great speed, but he does get to, kind of like Barry Sanders, used to get
thinking the same name
for losses a lot and then break a big one.
And then another after that. 2nd and a dozen. Young caught by the jersey and throws it away. Good pressure from Charlie Anderson, the 6-year linebacker from Ole Miss.
Boy, that's 2 good plays with his legs, as bad as they might be coming into today's game for Vince Young. Watch this spin out here and the awareness of knowing where the down markers are, because throwing that ball away, you've got to get it past the line of scrimmage, as Young did on that play. Good pressure by Anderson.
And now Jason Taylor and Joey Porter on 3rd and 12 will try to tee it up and go after Vince Young. What a combination. Sack masters each. Lendell White in the backfield along with Johnson and Young to throw. Needs a dozen for a first down and doesn't get it. Justin Gage, the intended target. Ball was a little wide. Coverage from Nathan Jones.
Yeah, they're kind of going after Nathan Jones. Last couple of passes have been directed to players that he's in charge of covering, but it looked like Gage and Jones may have got tangled up a bit. That may have been why that ball was off target.
Devon Bess is short and Ted Ginn Jr. deep at the 30-yard line for Miami on the return. Brett Kern, the former Denver Bronco, sends it to Ginn. He fumbles the ball, but it bounces right to a white jersey. Fortuitous roll it is for Miami, as that one went right down the chute. Ginn fumbling it forward. From the 26. Dolphins fortunate to still have the ball. Henne complete on the sidelines to Camarillo. That was a very dangerous throw. A flag down on the play. That just did get it to the receiver over Nick Harper.
Yeah, it looked like Harper could have picked it off or at least knocked the ball down, but the ball carried. The strong arm of Henne got the ball out to Camarillo. Let's check out this flag, though. The umpire threw the flag. That's Roy Ellison.
Scott Green, our referee.
Illegal hands to the face. Defense, number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty. Penalty is declined. First down.
Tony Brown trying to get that push in the center of the defensive line. First down to Miami out at the 36-yard line.
Everybody knows how strong Henne's arm is. Watch this ball just carry, and Harper miss it by just an eyelash. Great concentration by Camarillo.
Hennig, high school just outside of Philadelphia. His dad was a football coach. Halftime, and a full-time welder will pay the bills. On first down, Williams in the backfield goes into the pattern. The throw is to the sidelines, complete to Camarillo again. Wide open, and he's beyond that yellow line for another first down. Harper and Hope over in the coverage, but a good throw from Henne.
2nd and 1. We'll see what the Dolphins do here. Great time to try to go deep.
Mark just short of the first down, so it's Ricky Williams straight ahead and powers his way inside the Tennessee 40-yard line, and a first down for Miami.
Yeah, Ricky getting close to 1,000 yards for the season with that run. Talk about going deep. How about right up the middle?
And that will give him 1,000 yards. He needed 25, and this one will get him to the big number.
And Nate Garner with a great block came over and kicked out the defensive tackle. That opened up the hole for Ricky Williams. What an accomplishment for Ricky at 32 years of age.
First half of the season just sharing some of the running duties with Ronnie Brown, but taking over full time now for the 5th game with Brown on the injured list. Henne holds on to it almost too long. Finally got it away. Incomplete as Jacob Ford there applying the pressure again. 5th 1,000-yard season of his somewhat disjointed career. NFL record for the longest time span. 6 years since he last rushed for 1,000 yards. No back has ever done that. That's certainly some longevity. And 7th player in NFL history over age 32 to gain 1,000 yards running. And it's Williams again. Look at him move the pile down to the 35-yard line at 5'10" and 230 pounds. The Heisman winner at Texas 11 years ago. And the final seconds tick away here. That may be the last play of this opening quarter. And welcome back to Nashville. Monsbacher producer, Suzanne Smith our director. Dick Enberg, Dan Fouts. 7-3 Tennessee. Both teams battling to keep a heartbeat going ahead to the playoffs. Both need a lot of wins and some help from others. Henne on 3rd and 5 throws in the flat, but it's, well, maybe it will be enough. As powering ahead, the Dolphins get a good run after the catch, and it's a first down.
Yeah, Lou Polite was just darn right rude on this play. He was stopped after he caught the ball and shut down right there by Nick Harper, we thought, and he gets enough to get that first down. What an effort to break the tackle and then to dive forward and know what he needs for the first down.
245 pounds, hardly polite at all the way he bumped the defender out of the way. There's a direct snap to Ricky Williams, the first time we've seen the Wildcat. And Williams straight ahead for a good 5. Well, this is an exciting time. Nice, brisk, cool weather, and so much at stake for so many teams. What, 24 teams still with some hope of the playoffs.
And coaches had no problem motivating either of these teams this week. When you have something to play for in December, that's all you can hope for. You may not control your own destiny, but if you keep on winning, you still have a chance.
7-3, Tennessee early here in the second quarter. Henne out wide again. It's the Wildcat, and Ricky Williams fumbles the ball, and the Tennessee Titans have recovered. They're still scrambling, but and the flags go down as the signal was given that the Titans recovered cleanly. Michael Griffin, the safety, as that ball fumbled directly forward right into his lap.
Well, he fumbled 3 times and lost 1 last week against the Jaguars. Tony Brown may have popped this ball loose, but that's a concern that Tony Soprano had, and also a hope that Jeff Fisher had that Ricky would put it on the ground, because he is getting more carries now per game. Watch Brown right here. Yeah, Tony Brown with the left hand knocks it out, and it's recovered by Michael Griffin.
There was no foul on the play. First down, Tennessee.
Ball covered at the 20-yard line. They pick up the flag. No foul on the play. And for Tony Brown, he continues to knock that ball free. That's the 3rd forced fumble for Brown this season. Miami had only 13 turnovers committed last year, tying with the Giants for best. Now that's 22 this year. Young out of the flat. Throws to the tight end, Bo Scaife, and Scaife has a first down to the 33-yard line. First down, it's Chris Johnson. Gets into the open field and has another dozen, 13 yards out to the 46-yard line. Here it's Tennessee, 7-3, and a first down at the 46-yard line. Young throws underneath, incomplete. Trying to hit Nate Washington.
Yeah, that was just an indecision by Young. In fact, he made the wrong decision trying to get the ball to Washington when he really wanted to throw the ball outside to Chris Johnson. After the throw, he put his hands on his helmet and pointed out to Chris Johnson, who was wide open on the sidelines.
2nd and 10 with Johnson remaining as the tailback. He gets the call. Finds a hole up the middle. And he's down to the 42-yard line. Another first down. And now Young flips the ball over the middle, complete to Kenny Britt. And the rookie has a first down at the 24-yard line. Sean Smith, the corner rookie from Utah, makes the tackle.
Great rhythm to this offense right now. A couple of real close long runs by Chris Johnson. Then the play action pass gives Young a lot of time to throw the ball, and he finds Kenny Britt at 6'3". It seems that's in vogue now to have these tall receivers throw the ball high, let him go up and get it. Big play for Britt.
His first catch today is 39th in this rookie year. Now it's Johnson, the 1-2 punch. Young throwing, Johnson running. First down again to the 9-yard line, and now it's Chris Johnson seemingly in double figures on every carry.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 runs now where it's been one tackler away from a long run. Chris Johnson, I thought the way that Jeff Fisher described his running style was absolutely perfect. He said he's a glider that glides at 100 miles an hour.
59 yards gliding in this first half so far on 10 carries, so he's right at his average of 6 yards a carry. Another Johnson call, and this time runs into some stiff defense led by Jabril Wilson coming up from safety to support Paul Soliai.
And the Dolphins are so aware of Johnson's speed to the outside. You can see how the Titans are trying to pound him in the middle, perhaps setting up a chance for him to use his speed to get to the corner.
Johnson's going to get a breather here as Jeff Fisher sends in Lindell White. White, wearing number 25, is 25 years old today. Birthday for him. He has a touchdown in that gift package. Throw is to White, and he gets short yardage to the sidelines. Good pressure from Jason Taylor, forcing Young to throw quickly.
Well, it also forced Young to really double clutch on that ball, and that's why the ball came out late to Lindell White. White had no chance to turn it up to get in the end zone. So the pressure for the first time by Jason Taylor, very important on that play.
Chris Johnson stays on the sidelines. 3rd and goal from the 6. Nate Washington to the left. Brett and Gage to the right. Lindell White in the backfield. Quarterback draw. No, he's trying to scramble and then throws incomplete, intended for White. Hands all over Vince Young as the pressure came from Taylor again.
It was almost an impromptu quarterback draw, but Taylor changed Vince Young's mind with that pressure. Kind of lucky that ball wasn't picked off. That was kind of one of those ill-advised tosses that was incomplete.
Channing Crowder, man on the intended receiver Lindell White. Short 24-yard attempt by Baronis. Here the Tennessee Titans a 7-point lead. Whoa, he just did skip that one inside the right upright. It's 10-3. Now Tony Brown forced the fumble, recovered by Griffin at the 20. They go 74 yards, but stopped at the 6 of Miami and settled for the short field goal. And on the drive, Chris Johnson, 4 carries, 40 yards, 10 per carry.
And one of those carries was for no gain, so it's even better than that one. So close to breaking a big one.
Again, who had 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown against the Jets in the same quarter this year. Former Ohio State star. Doesn't get much there. Just to the 20 and then the stone wall. 10-3 Tennessee. Miami at their own 20. 9:20 left in this opening half. Williams takes the pitch and rumbles for 7, almost 8 before Gerald McGrath can bring him down. Second and a long 2. Williams in motion, a fake to him, and on the Pat Cat, they call it, Pat White, the former quarterback at West Virginia, the rookie. He takes a snap straight ahead and appears to have the first down.
Yeah, we've seen 3 plays of the Wildcat so far. You just wonder with Ricky Williams fumbling on his second consecutive Wildcat play how much Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, will use it. But Pat White is a real weapon. In fact, he helped the Dolphin defense prepare for the running skills of Vince Young in practice this week.
First down at the 31. Henning fires over the middle, and it's complete to Brian Hartline, and the former Ohio State star all the way to the 30-yard line before Nick Harper can bring him down.
Boy, what a laser shot that was by Chad Henne. Michigan to Ohio State. Who would have ever thunk that? This is a fantastic throw. He sets his back foot and just puts his ball on a line 30 yards down the field, right to the hands of Hartline. Big play for the Dolphin passing attack.
Hartline's 25th catch of the year. He's averaging the best of any Miami receiver, 14.4, and he got 39 on that play. Here's the Pat Cat again. White at tailback, and he gives to Williams on the sweep. And Williams nose down to the 24-yard line, a gain of 6. Chris Hope at safety made the tackle. And now Henne comes back, and with the injury to Ronnie Brown, who ran this Wildcat so effectively, it was truly a weapon that had all the coaches working overtime to try to defend. It took a lot of practice time from the opponents.
Yeah, and you've got a great leading blocker and fullback, Lusaka, Polite, and Ricky Williams to distract the defense. That's why Ronnie Brown got so many yards and was so effective.
They spotted the progress at the 25, so 2nd and 5. And it's Lex Hilliard getting the call. Hilliard, who's carried the ball just a few times this year. On 3rd and 3, Henne alone in the shotgun. Goes to the sideline and caught. Devon Bess, a leaping reception in front of Nick Harper.
That is his 63rd catch of the year, 31 of them coming on 3rd down. Great anticipation by Bess. He knew he couldn't get around the corner, Nick Harper. Henne saw that as well, so he put the ball up short on the back shoulder fade. Great reaction by Bess. First down, Dolphins inside the 10.
And Tony Sperano is going to go to the Pat Cat here on 1st and goal. White, left-handed thrower. He's not completed a pass this year. He's going to keep it himself and pays the price. A gain of only a yard. Kyle Vandenbush not only trying to make the tackle but rip the ball away.
Boy, I'm not so sure I would want Pat White running up inside at 6 foot, 190 pounds. Really not taking advantage of his skills as a runner, and especially left-handed with the wide side of the field to his left. Vandenbosch trying to rip the ball out, and then a knee drop, a little kick. Come on, Kyle, that's bush league, man.
Lex Hilliard in at tailback for Ricky Williams. Hartline in motion. Hilliard to the 5. 240-pounder. College career over 4,000 yards rushing and 50 touchdowns with the Grizzlies. Now 3rd and goal from the 5, and see if Ricky Williams comes back in. Apparently not. Hilliard stays in. Henne spreads them out. That's a false start. Hartline jumped offside.
Rookie mistake. Killer mistake.
False start. Offense, number 82. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
First penalty against the Dolphins. And it takes them from 1st and goal at the 5 out to the 10. They're the least penalized team in the league.
And with that penalty, it takes away any possibility of a fade route. So it does open up the field a little bit more, but it does cost the chance to try to throw that ball to the deep outside.
Camarillo to the right, Bess and Hartline to the left. Henne, a lot of time to the end zone, had a man open, but he misses Hartline. Hartline was running out of end zone, and even had he caught that ball, it would have been almost impossible for him to stay in bounds.
Yeah, he's only 6'2". He had to be about 8'2" to make this catch and keep his feet down. But it's a safe throw by Henne. Does not turn the ball over and brings out the field goal kicker.
So Carpenter, who connected from 23 yards to start the scoring today, this one just 28 yards. And a couple of field goals in this first half for the Dolphins. 10-6, the Tennessee lead, and Kenny Britt returning kicks today. Fields that one at the 7. 3:14 left before the intermission. Santa very serious today. A lot on his mind.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Yeah. Chris Johnson, he continues to pursue his pursuit of the 2,000-yard season. The running back doesn't get the call here. Young throws incomplete to the sidelines, looking for Bo Scaife, his former teammate with the Longhorns of Texas. Johnson, who was a 155-pounder at Orlando in high school, broke his leg his senior year, gets the call here on a draw and able to wiggle his way across the 25. He wasn't recruited by many teams. In fact, Connecticut and Eastern Kentucky wanted him as a cornerback because he was so slight a build. And it was only Skip Holtz at East Carolina. He said, you can come to play with the Pirates and you'll run the ball. But he didn't get a starting tailback job till he was a senior. And then he dazzled everyone with that 4.24 40-yard time in the combine.
And how fast might he have been if he hadn't broken his leg as a teenager? Man.
He is scary quick. 2.5 to go before halftime. Here comes the screen to Johnson. Oh, has he got running room? 40. 50, 40, can anyone catch him? Yes, a tackle from behind. Well played by the veteran Jabril Wilson. No, it's Tyrone Culver who got him.
Boy, and he had blockers out in front. Used to be called a convoy. Nowadays we call this an entourage. Eugene Amano, 54, and Kevin Mawai, the 16-year veteran, out in front.
Well, veteran Jabril Wilson at safety saved a touchdown when he was outnumbered by blockers on that screen. Nevertheless, Tennessee a 41-yard play on the screen to Johnson, and a first down at the Miami 32. Johnson. And he sprints to the 25 and a flag down on the play. Channing Crowder, second generation of Crowders to play for the Miami Dolphins. His dad, Randy, out of Penn State, played with Miami in the 70s.
Holding, defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Paul Soliai, the defensive tackle, holding on to one of the blockers.
There's Soliai right in the middle here. He's the nose tackle working against Kevin Mawai. And he tackles Mawai. That's a very unusual call. You don't see that very often, but Mawai has great mobility still at his age. We just saw that on that screen pass.
First down at the 21. Final 2 minutes of the half. Young looking for 6 to Gage. Touchdown! What a throw by Vince Young. He dropped it right in the basket. And Vontae Davis, close coverage, couldn't defend.
Great coverage by Vontae Davis. A better throw by Vince Young. Great concentration by Gage, left side of the screen. It's a deep corner route. And Gage has his second touchdown catch of the afternoon. He stumbled right at the goal line, but gathered himself, kept his eye on the ball, secured the catch, got down for the score.
Terrific throw by Young. Had to be right there. And Gage, who had only one touchdown catch all year, gets 2 in the first half today.
And there's a challenge or a review upstairs by the replay official. Great throw by Vince Young. Will check it out to see if possession is held by Gage. He is clearly in the end zone, knee down, shoulder down. And tough to tell, but it appeared that he had his hand under the ball.
Ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
From all the angles while we were away for commercial, that it did appear indeed that Gage made a terrific catch, tough catch, and his second touchdown score of this half. 78 yards and 5 plays for the Titans, led by Vince Young's arm and the legs of Chris Johnson. That 41-yard screen pass key in that drive. Try for point by Rob Baronis. And it's 17-6. Chris Johnson inspiring that touchdown drive with all eyes on him and constantly drawing double coverage, or at least a spy by a linebacker. That opens things up for others. And Justin Gage isolated man coverage. A couple of scores on perfect throws from Vincent Young. Baronis has it teed up, and Ted Ginn at the goal line for Miami. 1:47 left in this first half. Dolphins with all 3 timeouts. Ginn. Plenty of speed, but he can't make the corner, and he's bumped out of bounds just across the 15-yard line as Alvin Pierman there with the play. Chad Henne on the Dolphins, trailing 17-6, trying to put together a long drive here at the end of the first half. Down the middle, complete to Hartline. No, it isn't complete. Rattled by the hit, and that ball knocked free. Incomplete.
Yeah, Michael Griffin with the first hit, and Hartline just couldn't hang on after this collision here.
Keith Bullock, too.
Keith Bullock. He knocks a lot of people senseless. Good 1-2 shot there by Griffin and Bullock.
On 2nd and 10. Henne, a lot of time, throws underneath, complete to his tight end, and it's Anthony Fasano with a catch. That'll be good enough for the first down. Made just enough. Clock running, 1:17. Complete out of the backfield to Lou Polite, and Polite short of the first down. No, Lex Hilliard. Hilliard with the catch this time.
They need to get about 40 yards for Carpenter to be within range.
His longest this year is 52 yards. In fact, the longest in his 2-year kicking career. He'd be kicking into the tougher end of the stadium. What little wind there is coming from the north. Now, it's hard to believe when you look back, Dan Fouts, that this Tennessee team would start the year 0-6. And we saw them when they lost in Jacksonville, and then they were thumped by New England 59-0 just before their bye week.
Got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Fisher. Told the boys at the bye week to just get away from it all. Come on back. The season will start anew with 10-game season.
Ricky Williams in, and he burrows for the first down out to the 40-yard line. Yeah, he said that we're going to play a 10-game season. Natural disaster is what he referred to the first 6 games. Henne on the run and throws it away as he was being tracked.
And a pair of flags thrown for holding against the Dolphins as Henne was trying to get out of the pocket.
Offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Vernon Carey, the right tackle.
You really can't blame Carey because Henne ran out of the pocket towards Carey's side of the field. Here is Carey right here. He's working against Jacob Ford, and he hooks forward as Henning goes to the outside.
40 seconds now left in the half, and 1st and 20 facing Henne. Dumps it out of the backfield to Hilliard, and Hilliard with some good running, finally out of bounds at the 49, and there's another flag down. Could be a horse collar.
Yeah, he grabbed him by the back of the shoulder pads there, and that'll bring out 15 more yards on this play, and that will get Carpenter real close to his comfort level for a long field goal.
Foul, horse collar tackle, 53 defense, 15 yards, first down.
And that's going to move the ball into Tennessee territory and almost into field goal range at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, you can see why they've ruled on this. It's a very dangerous tackle. A lot of sprained ankles, knees, broken bones have resulted from that type of action.
Bo Jackson, remember, that was how he was tackled into his career. So with 37 seconds left and 2 timeouts, Dolphins have a chance to take a bite into that 17-6 Tennessee lead. And it's Lex Hilliard again struggling down to the 34-yard line in the grasp of Dave Ball. They've had 2 field goals, both after they had driven inside the 10-yard line of Tennessee.
And Ricky Williams fumbled one time when they were in the red zone in the early in the second quarter. Missed opportunities for the Dolphins so far in this first half.
2nd and 8. And Henne grabbed by the jersey, throws dangerously, and it's intercepted by Harper. Should not have thrown it. He's being pulled down, and Harper diving in front makes the interception. Stephen Tulloch, the linebacker, had Henne pulling him away from his throw.
Well, that's the fear that Tony Sperano had with Chad Henne. You could not have minus plays here. This was going to be a sack, and then the strength of Henne stays upright and throws the ball to Nick Harper, trying to get it to Camarillo. But in that case, the full-out blitz was coming. You know you don't have 3 seconds to get rid of this ball. You certainly can't throw it with somebody tugging on the back of your jersey.
So Tennessee with the ball at the 32-yard line with 25 seconds left in the half and 2 timeouts to use for Jeff Fisher. Well, they take a shot here with a 17-6 advantage.
They've always got a shot when number 28's in the backfield.
That little screen pass was enough to shake all of the defensive coaches on the Miami sideline. Johnson caught in the backfield, can't get away at the 30-yard line.
Well, Jeff Fisher appears to be happy with his 11-point lead going into halftime.
Titans, when they lead at halftime last year and this year, 13 times they've been in front, 13 times they've won the game. And they have the lead here at 17-6. Now just a couple of field goals for the visitors from Miami. They've driven deep into Tennessee territory. They fumbled once. They've thrown an interception, and that's the end of the half. All right, Miami deferred when they won the toss, so they get the ball first. Trailing 17-6. 2 times inside the 10 of Tennessee and had to settle for field goals. Twice they turned it over in Tennessee territory. This is Ted Ginn wiggling his way back and forth, but just gathering more blue jerseys on the way, and finally pushed out of bounds at around the 20-yard line. Handoff goes to Ricky Williams, and Williams skirting the right side out to about the 25-yard line. William Hayes made the tackle. There are the first half numbers. Actually fairly close, 228 total yards for Tennessee and almost 200 for Miami.
Well, those 150 yards passing for the Titans, Vince Young really got his money's worth because he only completed 7 passes, so that's over 20 yards per completion. Of course, the big one, the 41-yard screen pass to Chris Johnson, who's having a typical huge game.
2nd and 7 at the 25, and contact before the snap, and it was Jacob Ford on the left side.
False start. Offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And he reacted to Vernon Carey's movement before the snap, so the false start takes it back to the 20-yard line.
Not the way you want to start your second half possession, going backwards. A hesitant kickoff returned by Ted Ginn. And now the penalty against Carey.
So in a passing situation, Vincent Fuller, number 22, comes in as the nickel, replacing McGrath, the linebacker. And he throws into the flat, complete to Williams. Hit beautifully on that defensive charge by Stephen Tulloch. The middle backer from North Carolina State brings fans to their feet.
Check this out, regular speed. And the pop there by Tulloch. Tulloch made two big plays here. One forcing the interception thrown by Chad Henne, and then showing versatility out on the perimeter, bringing down Ricky Williams.
So 3rd and a dozen for Miami. Henne dumps it off in the flat to Hilliard. Breaks a tackle. And the flag down back where Henne threw the ball. Tackle made it to 31, short of the first down.
Offense, number 77. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
Jake Long, the left tackle.
Now we'll see if the Titans elect to take this penalty.
If they take the play, it's 4th and 1.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call there as Long reached out and pulled down Kyle Vanden Bosch. Long complaining that Jacob Ford held him before he could get out to block Vanden Bosch. They're going to take the penalty, bring up a 3rd and really long for the young quarterback, Chad Henne.
One would almost think here the call by Sperano would be a screen or a draw and not risk a long throw that deep in your own end. Lex Hilliard is in the backfield with Henne. And it is a little flat pass out to Hilliard. And he gets it out across the 15 to the 17, still well short of a first down yardage. Nick Harper made the tackle. A good start defensively for Tennessee as they pin Miami deep, and now we'll get the ball in good field position.
Yeah, the Titans ended the first half with the interception, and then to start the second half, 3 plays and out. Great start for the Titans defense.
Brandon Fields just out of his own end zone to take the snap. Alvin Pierman back at the 32 in Tennessee territory. Wobbler, plenty of room to run for Pierman. 10 and 13 yards on the return, out to the 43-yard line.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
As Tennessee takes the field on offense for the first time in the second half, there's their report card in the opening half. First pass thrown by Young intercepted, led to a field goal for Miami, but settling down 150 yards throwing the rest of the half. Fumbles this one. That ball is going to go incomplete. That ball was jarred free for a moment. He was able to move his arm forward. That was weird.
It looked like it was jarred loose, and he grabbed it and was still able to throw the ball. Randy Starks with the pressure here. No, he just has got real big hands. It never really came out of his hand.
No.
Look at that strength to get rid of the ball and save the sack.
Starks has played very well all year long. He was a former Tennessee Titan draft choice 5 years ago. Johnson picking his way, found a small hole and out to the 47. Joey Porter made the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Didn't look like he had anything on that play, but he did use his great vision, and he just dives forward so effortlessly to pick up yardage.
Vince Young ducks his helmet into the huddle, makes the call. As you look into Chris Johnson, Vince Young still very close to the family of Steve McNair. McNair was his idol. He called him Pops. McNair, of course, murdered on the 4th of July this year. He visited with the family on Friday night. Young now scrambling, and he's got nothing but room, and slides gently down at the 35-yard line with a first down.
Well, there's certainly nothing wrong with his right hamstring. This is 3 times today where he's just had to take off, and he sees this open up in the middle, and he knows that he's got big yardage here. If healthy, he may have scored with this one. But right now, I know he's got the first down. Now he's going to protect himself and give himself up at the 36-yard line. Good play by Vince Young.
Over 200 yards rushing on the season coming in, the third best for any quarterback. Johnson, and there he showed his patience, but that also allowed Jason Taylor and Kendall Langford to get to him and bring him down after a short gain.
You know, Mike Heimerdinger is the offensive coordinator for the Titans, and you wonder if he's seen enough of Vince's health and mobility to where we might see an option play or two. What a 1-2 weapon on the option is Vince Young and Chris Johnson.
Yeah, your eyes rolled back when you were checking the film on that option where Young either keeps it, reads the corner, or tosses to Johnson, who is at full flight. Young hit from behind, fumbles the ball, but the Tennessee Titans recover alertly. Falling on the ball was David Stewart or Jake Scott.
That's David Stewart, the man they call Big Country. And you can see why in Music City, USA. Heads up by Big Country, David Stewart, to get on this ball.
Jason
Hit
Taylor
from behind. Jason Taylor will get credit for the sack and for the forced fumble here.
And that's a big sack for Taylor because it moves him into the number 10 spot all time ahead of Ricky Jackson, the New Orleans Saint.
127.5 for Jason Taylor.
The throw deep and for a touchdown, Nate Washington. That was too easy. Washington's 6th touchdown reception. He leads the Titans and banged up a knee in the process, apparently. Rookie Vontae Davis victimized again.
Well, it's a case of Washington getting down the sidelines. Davis loses his footing. And as they kind of got tangled up there, it appears that Washington may have sprained his ankle slightly, but it didn't disrupt his concentration on the ball, knowing that the defender was down and the end zone was straight ahead.
32 yards on the touchdown throw by Vincent Young, as he's got a trifecta going. 3 touchdown throws today. And the extra point by Barones. Fans pleased as Vince Young, for the first time in his career, 3 touchdown passes in a game.
Yeah, he bounced back well from the first pass being intercepted and also fumbling on the previous play before he threw his 3rd touchdown pass.
Again, another chance to return from the 5. Is this a fake? Yes, it is. He keeps the ball and twists out close to the 25-yard line. A lot of work to be done now by the young quarterback Henney and this Miami offense. They've fallen behind by 18. Henney to the sidelines, complete to Ted Ginn, and Ginn has his first catch of the day out close to midfield.
Well, this is what Vince Young sees on the touchdown. This is Jabril Wilson. He'll come flat, so that means one-on-one coverage on the outside by Nate Washington by Vontae Davis. Davis has been beat twice for touchdown passes this afternoon. He does have 1 interception, but he loses his balance there, and Washington has the easy grab for the score. But good read by Vince Young to see single coverage on Washington on the outside.
Well, Young has certainly matured, hasn't he? That's sitting on the sidelines watching Kerry Collins go 13-3 last year. And he was sidelined 0-6 to start this year. And now the man here in Tennessee. Henney throwing long and has a man deep, incomplete. Brian Hartline. Just to go back to finish some business, when Jason Taylor recorded the sack in the last sequence, that gave him 127.5 in his career. That moved him past Derek Thomas, the Kansas City Chief Hall of Famer, and now he's a half sack behind Ricky Jackson for number 10 all time.
And of course, the leading active pass sacker in the NFL.
9 defensive touchdowns for Taylor, 6 on fumble returns. That's a record too. Henney again to that same sideline, incomplete, intended for Greg Camarillo. Nick Harper covered.
This is such a difficult situation for any quarterback to be in, trailing by this much. and really having to throw to get back into the ball game.
Interesting that Coach Tony Sparano making the comments about a young quarterback, Kenny, with a strong arm that you get from many head coaches with young quarterbacks, that they can throw it through a wall, but they don't feather the ball. There are times when you need to just use a soft touch, and that's something that comes with game experience. Kenny fires that one incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Anthony Fasano.
And now it's a pretty good example of what you're just talking about, Dick. He fired that one where he didn't really have to, because Fasano had position on the defensive back. But the ball's coming so fast, there's just no way that Fasano can react to it other than to just flat out dive for it. A little softer touch there gives a better chance for the completion to the tight end.
It's hard to learn. You figure if you throw it softly, then there's a better chance of it being intercepted, and not trusting your accuracy. The kick is inside the 5 by Fields, and touchback. Fans bundled here in the various attire. Temperature in the mid-30s here in Nashville. Vince Young handing off to Chris Johnson, and Johnson draws a defensive crowd after a gain of about 3. Johnson fumbled the ball, and it goes to the Dolphins at the 34-yard line. One of the Tennessee Titans had it, and it rolled right through him and picked off by Sean Smith, the cornerback for Tony Sparano.
Yeah, Nate Washington dove on the ball, and the ball just squirted away from him. That would have been the second time that the Titans had recovered one of their own fumbles, but Washington couldn't grab it. There's the ball that's knocked out. Joey Porter in on the tackle, along with Aiken Adel. And the recovery by the rookie Sean Smith. Huge play for the Dolphins.
Now they need to strike here for more than a field goal, don't they? 34-yard line. Ricky Williams. Not much there. The Tennessee Titans not only run the ball as well as anyone, second in the league, but they're also one of the best defenses against the rush this year.
Yeah, it looked like Chris Johnson had a nice little gain there, but the double team tackle there by Adele and by Porter. And how unfortunate for the Titans that Nate Washington, who had a clear shot at recovering that, couldn't quite get it done.
2nd and 9. Henning to the tight end, Joey Hanos. And Hanos, the backup to Fasano, is dropped at the 27-yard line by Nick Harper. So for the Miami Dolphins trailing today, they need to win all 3 games to close out the season to win the division and hope the Patriots lose 1 game. Now for a wild card, they need to win all 3 and one of the following to happen. Ravens loss, Broncos loss to Raiders or Chiefs. And the Tennessee Titans chance for a wild card, but it has so many tough connections, it's tough to follow the dots. But of course they have a chance as well at 6 and 7.
Play clock running down on the young quarterback.
3rd and short, and the give is to Polite, and Polite stacked up. No gain that time, and we have an injured Keith Bullock on the play. That could be very crucial for Tennessee, their leader defensively.
Bullock sneaking up from the left side, getting blocked here by number 65, Justin Smiley, and by the tight end Fasano, and he's still laying on the ground in pain. Number 53 is Keith Bullock, and number 65 blocking him is Justin Smiley, and Bullock's left knee just gave out there when Smiley hit him. And how about this call on 4th and short, going for another field goal, down by 18? Not sure I like this call.
45-yard attempt by Carpenter, and he drills it, but it's 3, and not risking the possible first down to go for 7. Bullock making his way back to the locker room for examination, walking a lot better.
He grabbed it as the rest of the Titan defense stops Luke Polite short of the first down to set up that field goal. But with 4th and 2 and you're down by this much, I'd like to see a more aggressive approach with so much on the line for Miami.
5.5 minutes still to play here in the third quarter. And the Tennessee lead reduced to 15. Carpenter. And he hits it high and short toward the sideline. Britt comes up, runs into his own man. A scramble for the ball, and Tennessee able to maintain possession at the 21-yard line. Algie Crumpler down there for Miami. Crumpler saving the day, covering that muff as Britt ran into his own man. And here's Young rolling left and throwing the ball away. Britt was holding his hand as he came off the field, and we understand that he was saying, my finger was broken.
Yeah, he ran into Algie Crumpler. That short kickoff confused the Titans, and they could not communicate. And Britt's still in pain there.
Could be, you know, it doesn't sound much better, but a dislocation can be reduced right there on the sidelines. May not have been broken, but that's just the impression of a man in pain. We'll get a report, official report. Johnson, Chris Johnson, looking for daylight. He's found some. Dances his way out across the 35, but a penalty flag is down.
And this will probably be holding against the Titans and negating that fine run.
Holding offense, number 12. 10-yard penalty, second down.
Wide receiver Justin Gage with a hold. Word officially now that we suspected a left knee injury. Bullock, and doubtful that he'll return. Waiting to hear about Britt now and the seriousness of that hand or finger injury. Not
yeah, the way they're
good, is it?
the way they're working on it, it would lead you to think that it is a dislocation. They're trying to get it back in place. And
after the penalty, 2nd and 17. Shotgun Young. Draw play Johnson, and he's dragged down by Jason Taylor. Taylor shooting through. He was going after the quarterback Young, and his path ran him right into the ball carrier.
Well, it was a draw play, and Jason Taylor's seen it all from the right side of the screen. He came on a blitz there from lining up as an outside linebacker. But how big was that penalty on Justin Gage? Titans had the ball out past the 30-yard line on the Chris Johnson run, and now they're all the way back to the 10-yard line after the fine play by Taylor.
3rd and 21. Young dumps it off underneath to Johnson, and Johnson out to the 24-yard line. Good gain, but short of the first down by about 7. Sean Smith able to trip him up. And so Miami, they get the fumble and then a 3 points out of that. And now Sperano trying to inspire his team. They've held Tennessee, although the penalty mistake by the Titans assisting the Dolphin cause. And now on to punt is Brett Kern. Devon Bess back at the 30. 3:45 remaining in the third quarter, and the Dolphins with this possession, should they get a touchdown, would make it a little nervous here in Tennessee. Bess from the 30, and the big wave of blue jersey defenders drops him after a 3-yard return. Young almost 200 yards passing, and the rushing stats, Chris Johnson with 85, 59 for Ricky Williams. Williams over the 1,000-yard mark with those 59 yards today. Henny lofts it long for Bess, and Damon Bess has it out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Perfectly thrown. Now that had a little touch on it.
Exactly, Dick. That's what we've been waiting to see from Henny, and the thing that Tony Sperano says that all young quarterbacks with strong arms have to learn is drop it in over the head of the underneath coverage with enough touch on it and force on it to get it there before the safety can get over and knock it out. Good throw by Chad Henne.
And it earns 34 yards. Henne underneath, dropped the ball, did Ricky Williams. Tried to run before he'd really secured it.
The Titans have 27 sacks on the season, most of them from their defensive line. They're not a team that blitzes a lot. They like to rush the quarterback with the 4-down lineman and drop 7 into coverage.
So 2 starting linebackers are out. David Thornton didn't suit up, and now Bullock is injured. Into the flat, complete to Williams. And does run hard. You got to give Ricky Williams high grades. Every time he has his hands on the ball, he gives it all he has. And I thought Sperano, and describing him yesterday as one of the most popular players on the team, but that word comes out and it immediately makes you feel good about an athlete when a coach says accountability, responsibility and accountability.
Well, if you can't count on somebody, you can't count on them to be there when you need them the most. And Ricky Williams bouncing back from a disjointed career has really meant a lot to this Dolphin offense.
So on 3rd and 2, Lex Hilliard comes in at running back. Fake to him, and then it's Hartline on a reverse. And the wide receiver gets good yardage into the 14-yard line.
Boy, that is really a good call by Dan Henning. 3rd down and really short. The Titans were really bunched in trying to look for the quick dive play to Lusaka Polite, but Polite comes out. He's the lead blocker for Hartline, who uses his speed to get inside Nick Harper and get all the way inside the 15-yard line.
Hartline, the Ohio State champion in his prep days on the 110 and 300-meter hurdles. Brother Michael, the quarterback, University of Kentucky, they're in the bowl game. Henny, he floats this one toward the end zone, intercepted by Chris Hope. Took it away from Ricky Williams. Oh my, that is really punishing to the Dolphins. That could have made this a real ball game.
Yeah, it's a swing route out of the backfield by Ricky Williams, and he's got coverage man-to-man, but the ball is underthrown, and really Hope had him covered. In fact, he gets away with a little grab there on Ricky Williams.
His 3rd interception of the season. Chris Hope, the veteran from Florida State.
Watch the right hand there of Hope. Little arm bar there on Ricky Williams, but the ball underthrown as Hope went high over Williams to pick it off.
3rd turnover committed by Miami. Tennessee with 2. The Titans ducked some trouble there. Now they give it to Chris Johnson, and Johnson stacked up after a 2-yard pickup.
And all 3 of the turnovers by the Dolphins have happened deep in the Titan territory. The 2 interceptions and the Ricky Williams fumble.
All on the Titans' half of the field. Clock ticking down, 1:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and Chris Hope extends just that for the 6-7 Titans. Hope that they can rally from a 0-6 start and still make the playoffs. Never happened in NFL history. Young pumping, flag down in the secondary, and then Young throws it away, and one has to guess that that's going to be defensive holding against Miami.
Yeah, or illegal contact on Vontae Davis as Young was looking to go deep. Looking to go deep to Washington.
Illegal contact, defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Boy, the highs and lows of the rookie corner Davis. He got an early interception and now has been beaten twice on touchdowns, and then that penalty. Now there's the wild card situation with Denver and Baltimore at the moment sitting in the catbird seat. Miami right there, and Tennessee with that pack of hopefuls with a victory today at 7-7 and 2 games to go. Still a chance.
Yeah, that all says parity, doesn't it? When you open the play today with 24 teams still with a shot.
That's terrific for fans all over the country.
Yeah.
Johnson finds a crease and barrels his way out to the 38-yard line on a 1st down. And Chris Johnson ever closer to that century mark. He's got 98 yards today.
Well, watch how he comes to the line of scrimmage, almost comes to a complete stop, slides to his left, sees the hole, and then gets another double-digit run.
2 more yards for Johnson today rushing, and he'll have his 9th consecutive 100-yard game. Final seconds here in the 3rd. Johnson. And he didn't get the 2, got only 1 as Jeremiah Bell and Jason Taylor collaborated on the tackle.
You know, he's a 200-pounder, but he runs like a guy that weighs a lot more than that. He's got the whole package as far as running back's concerned.
So the visiting Dolphins with threes in each of the first 3 quarters. 3 touchdown passes by Vince Young. And Tennessee enjoys the 24-9 lead as we go to the 4th quarter here in Nashville. Young pumping and then throwing underneath to the tight end Bo Scaife, and Scaife has 11 yards out to the 49-yard line and a first down. Oh, Tennessee with a win would go 7-7. Should Miami lose, they'll be 7-7. You have a special guest here, Dan.
Well, it's a Vince type of day. We've got a great play out there by our friend Vince Young, and of course Vince Gill, the Grand Ole Opry Hall of Famer, joins us in the booth. What are you thinking, bud?
Well, there's a new Vince in town.
Well, a new one and an old one. That's okay.
Oh, man, he's doing so great. We're really proud of him here in Nashville.
And Young on cue, taking it to the sidelines and safely ducks out of bounds. How's the golf game?
It's been good. It's been a little chilly to play, but so it's all Titans in December.
And that's not all that bad, having the Titans back in the race in December, too.
It's been fun. It's been quite a turnaround.
Yeah,
nobody saw this one coming.
Yeah, that 06 start had everyone on their heels in this city.
They had a tough schedule. I don't think anybody believes that their schedule was really tough to start the season. You know, a lot of people thought that they might get off to a bad start because their schedule was so tough, but then battled back in a great way.
But nobody jumped off the bandwagon when they were 0-6, right? Nobody.
No, of course not. Not here.
2nd and 10. Chris Johnson. And he ducks his way to the Miami 46, where it'll be 3rd down and 5. Well, Vince is going to relax and enjoy. Dan was getting a little nervous there. He was starting to look at your notes. I thought he was going to analyze that play, a little X's and O's.
Well, he can't read my writing, or he would have.
104 yards for Chris Johnson. 9 straight century games for this brilliant 2nd-year runner from East Carolina. The record, the NFL record, is Barry Sanders, held by Sanders, 14 straight. Did that back in 1997. Wide open in the flat is Scaife, the tight end. And he's near the down marker as well. It's only 4th and a short 1, but no chance taken here by Jeff Fisher. He's going to punt it away, and Kern sends it toward Bess. And it's in the end zone for the touchback. With 12 minutes plus remaining and a lead, 24-9, the news is all good for Tennessee. This is their best quarter, the 4th. They've outscored opponents 90-46 in the final quarter throughout this season. Meanwhile, it's been Miami's worst quarter, outscored 134-77. Henning with a draw, Ricky Williams. And he powers his way for 8 yards out to the 28. Stephen Tulloch made the tackle. Ricky Williams picks up the first down across the 30-yard line. Gerald McGrath, the tackler.
Dolphins not wasting any time, not going back into the huddle, down by 2 scores here.
Henny learning on the job this year. 7-3. Throws to Williams, incomplete through his hands. Almost carry him back to McGrath for the interception. Bad enough to turn it over, but those are all point opportunities. Great throw into Ted Ginn. He was in between 3 defenders, and Henny fired a strike. Michael Griffin made the tackle.
And it's really no substitute for a strong arm to squeeze it into little tiny spaces. Beautiful throw by Henny.
19 yards on the play. First down in Tennessee territory. Quick throw on the flat is complete to Greg Camarillo, and he has another first down at the Tennessee 37-yard line when he's knocked out of bounds.
Yeah, the previous play, Ted Ginn made a good catch. This time he makes a good block on the outside and gives Camarillo the room to get down the sidelines, pick up the first down, and get out of bounds.
As soon as they spot the ball until the final 5 minutes, the clock is wound. After 5 minutes, out of bounds plays, and the clock is stopped. Hilliard now in for Ricky Williams. Quick throw on the flat, complete tight end Joey Hanos, and he's bumped out of bounds at the 34-yard line.
You know, you almost wonder sometimes, Dick, if the players know that about the clock being restarted, because in this situation, Hanos went out of bounds where it looked like he could have cut back to the inside. You're not saving any time at this time of the game by going out of bounds.
Yeah, that's a good point. Clock is running, closing in on the 10-minute mark to go. But a touchdown for Miami would pull them within 7 or 8 points, depending on a 1 or 2 point conversion. So this game far from over. Henny looking underneath, complete. It goes to Hilliard, and it's going to be shy of the first down, however. Third down coming up in about a yard and a half.
And you get the feeling from Jeff Fisher and his defensive coordinator, Chuck Cecil, that they just want to rush forward, drop 7, force Henny to throw the ball into tight spaces, and just prevent the quick strike for the touchdown.
Working on those linebackers, less experience with both David Thornton and Keith Bullock out of the game. Henny down the middle, incomplete, threw it behind tight end Anthony Fasano. So 4th down and 2, a short 2.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for this one too. Ricky Williams comes back in the game with Luke Polite and Hanos.
And this crowd trying to spur the defense. Another stop at the 29-yard line. This is a big play. Fake to Williams. Throw complete to Hanos. And he's out of bounds with the first down. That's Hanos as in Haynos, not the negative Hanos.
Well, it's negative to the Titans. And really, this is not an easy catch by number 81. He fakes the block, comes out, and this ball is thrown a little bit low. Heads up catch by Hanos. Pick up that first down on just a gigantic 4th down. Keeps the Dolphins' hopes alive.
Had only 12 catches all season. He's had a couple of big ones in this game. Here they are in the red zone. Miami once again. Down the middle, caught at the 1-yard line by Fasano. A leaping catch by the tight end. 1st and goal.
Spectacular catch by Fasano. Michael Griffin hanging on his back in another great throw by Henny. Only Fasano could make this catch if he dives. Look at the coverage by Griffin. My goodness.
18 yards on the throw and catch. 1st and goal at the 1. Ricky Williams does not get in. And that chews up another 30 seconds or so against Tony Sperano's Dolphins.
Stephen Tulloch with another tackle from his middle linebacker spot. Tulloch has got a added pressure now with Keith Bullock out and David Thornton not playing today because of injury.
Bullock injured his left knee in the 3rd, has not returned. Direct snap to Ricky Williams, swinging wide. He's got the speed, and he's got the touchdown. Running away from Stanford Kegler, who's in there for Keith Bullock at linebacker.
That's a real good play, putting Ricky in the Wildcat with 2 blockers in front, and then at 32 still has the speed. Saw the pylon. Here on the outside is Kegler, and Kegler right now is in trouble because Ricky smells touchdown, and Ricky gets touchdown.
His 11th this year, as you can see, plus a couple on catches, so 13 total touchdowns for Ricky Williams, and now they won't go for 2 here. The Carpenter for the extra point, and it becomes, ooh, that was close.
Oh, no kidding.
Scott Green will sort it out for us before we break for commercial.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 96. 15 yards will be assessed on the kickoff.
Britt, the youngest player in the league, just 21 years old, the wide receiver for Tennessee, takes a knee. Here you see Ricky Williams with a touchdown, 1-yard touchdown, 20th rushing score for Miami. They lead the NFL. Penny with a good drive there to pull Miami within 8. Plenty of time, 7:41 left. And it's Chris Johnson caught in the backfield and ripped down as Channing Crowder was there for the play. Although the other early games, and of course fans in Miami especially rooting for Buffalo, but they're down 2 scores to New England. The Jets have a modest lead. Arizona has regained the lead against the Lions. Houston 3 up on St. Louis, and Cleveland, Kansas City scoring fest at Arrowhead. No gain on first down. Fake to Johnson, and then the throw to Johnson underneath. Flag down on the play, and Chris Johnson tackled after a 5-yard pickup by Paul Soliai and Aiken Adell.
That flag was thrown by the head linesman, Tony Stable. It appears to be holding against the Dolphins.
Holding, defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's twice that the nose tackle Soliai has been called for holding.
Here he is right here working against Kevin Mawai, the 16-year veteran. Number 96 is Soliai. Now he reaches out and grabs. Oh, that's a real ticky-tack call. My goodness. How you got? And the head linesman called it from 40 yards away. He's on the sidelines, and he's going to throw a flag on Soliai for that, for holding. Yeah. Holy cow!
The opposite side of the field. That's what. That's why some of them get gray fast. So that's a first down with it. Young fires underneath, complete to Britt. That finger, another flag is down in the secondary. That finger obviously is okay as Britt makes the catch of a tough ball. Porter and Wilson team up on the tackle.
This might be a legal contact against the Dolphins.
Illegal contact, defense number 52. Penalty is declined. First down.
So first of all, it was turnovers that were killing the Dolphins offensively, and now their defense is giving life to the Titans, taking time off the clock, and the ball all the way out to the 38-yard line now.
And this is a team, Miami, least penalized in the league. Out of character. 6:22, 6:21 left. Chris Johnson. 3 touchdowns today, his best ever as a 4th-year pro. Throws this one away. Well covered was Algie Crumpler. Jason Taylor drifted over into that flat, and he was just hoping that that ball would be on target.
A couple of old veterans there. The 13-year vet, Jason Taylor from Akron, guarding Algie Crumpler, 9-year vet from North Carolina. They've seen each other a lot. That was just a real good decision by Young to throw that ball away.
Incomplete pass does stop the clock at 5:30. Now 3rd down and 9. Britt to the right. Gage to the left with Washington. Young throws back underneath to Scaife, the tight end, and he's toppled at the 45. Good tackle in the open field by Nathan Jones. So 4th down, and the punting team on for the Titans.
Well, the Dolphins defensively, Paul Pasqualoni, their defensive coordinator, electing to rush 3, drop 8 there. That was a perfect call for that situation. That forced Young to come short to Scaife, who was way short of the first down.
So Devon Best drifts back, camped at the 15-yard line, anticipating the punt by Brett Kern. Beautiful high kick. Best staring up into the gray, and fair catches it at the 10-yard line. Trailing by 8 with 4:36 left. Miami starts at its own 10-yard line. Penny, far sidelines, incomplete. Looking for Greg Camarillo. Good coverage by Cortland Finnegan. They haven't
tall.
called his name today. They stayed away from him.
Well, he is the best corner on this team. That's why the Titans got off to such a rough start this year. Injuries to Finnegan and Harper in the secondary. How about a tough order for Chad Henne? 90 yards he's got to go. He's got to get a touchdown and a 2-pointer to tie this up.
Both teams have all 3 timeouts. Quick throw to Best. And he darts his way upfield. Brought down short of the first down marker after a 9-yard gain. Best not drafted at all out of Hawaii, where he caught a ton of balls, almost 300 from Colt Brennan and that June Jones offense with the Rainbows. Four minutes left. 3rd and 1. Over the middle and complete for the first down to Greg Camarillo at the 28-yard line.
Yeah, right to the line of scrimmage. No time to waste. Long play, way to go. Good slant route by Camarillo and a good low throw by Henne. Protects his receiver.
Henne. The sidelines threw it over the head of Best. Played it safe. Well, the Tennessee Titans, they rush basically only 4 men on every play, but they get good pressure from that 4-man front.
Well, Tony Brown's got 5 sacks. Kyle Vanden Bosch has got 3. William Hayes 4. So they get the production out of their front 4, and that allows them to play coverage and really make it difficult for any quarterback, let alone a guy just in his 2nd year, first year as a starter.
Of course, Albert Hainsworth was part of that 4-man company a year ago now with the Redskins. Tony Brown's done a good job as his replacement. On 2nd and 10, Henne. There it is. Pressure from the 4 forces him out of the pocket, and only short gain out to the 32-yard line as William Hayes brought him down.
Yeah, Jacob Ford is the other defensive end who's had a big day today for the Titans. He's got 3.5 sacks, and he basically came around the corner there and put the pressure from the blind side, and he stepped up, and that's where Hayes brought him down after a short gain.
3rd and 7. Camarillo, wide receiver out, and Hanos, tight end in. So they go with 2 tight ends here on 3rd and long. Henne, a lot of time. Long for Hartline, and it is caught by Hartline off Griffin's hands and right to Hartline, and on a freak completion, Miami has the ball at the 12-yard line.
And a lot of smiles on the Dolphins sidelines. Griffin has the interception. Hartline tries to break it up and does. Ball bounces off of Hartline's face mask. Talk about concentration. Hartline, if it wasn't for Finnegan, he would have got it all the way to the end zone. And now Vanden Bosch is down at the 43-yard line, and that will bring out a timeout, helping the Dolphins even further.
Goodness. Michael Griffin had the interception. Hartline got a hand in to poke it around and bounced off player off his own face mask and off Finnegan, and he finally recovers it for a 57-yard play. Ball down to the 11-yard line.
I was in Cincinnati at the beginning of the year when Denver scored on a play just like that at the very last play of the game, when the ball was knocked up in the air and Brandon Stokely made the catch and went into the end zone. But Michael Griffin has 0 interceptions this year. Obviously that one would have been a big one, but just got to give Hartline a lot of credit, not giving up on the play, saving his quarterback from an interception, and then making the catch. Phenomenal.
But Griffin should have intercepted the ball. It was right there. He had both hands on it.
You think so? I bet he thinks so too. I know these fans do.
So 11 yards away from a touchdown and a potential 2-point conversion that could tie the game. Vanden Bosch able to get up and leave the field under his own power. He's been working on that neck the entire day as if he's had a stinger.
Vanden Bosch, number 93, hits Henne here, but I think you're right, Dick. I think he does have a problem with that neck. You can see he's awful stiff right there.
Miami comes out in the Pat Cat with Pat White into the shotgun, left-handed thrower, excellent speed, and the handoff is to Williams, and Williams smothered at the 9-yard line after a short gain of 2, and that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. 2nd down and 7, just outside the 8-yard line. Miami needs a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie. Chad Henne with his best ever passing game, 337 yards at quarterback. Throws to the corner, incomplete, intended for Camarillo.
Smart throw. Real smart throw away by Henne there. You're so close now. You've got 2 more downs to get into the end zone. Don't force it here.
And the Dolphins can get a 1st down inside the 2-yard line. They have all 3 timeouts left. Tony Sparano not only thinking touchdown, Jeff Fisher saying let's stop them here, but the 2-point conversion. Both coaches thinking ahead. Both with all 3 timeouts. Camarillo in motion. The throw underneath to Camarillo. And he's tackled shy of the 1st down marker, although that second lurch might have gotten him close. Tackled by Nick Harper, the veteran corner. He's going to be short of the 1st down, it would appear, by about a half yard. And time is called. Miami has called timeout. Their first.
Yeah, they're short of the 1st down, so that's a smart use of the timeout. If it had been a little bit closer to the down marker, they could have called for a measurement, and that would have stopped the clock and not cost them a valuable timeout. But that was the value of rushing 4 and dropping 7. When Camarillo caught that crossing route, he was faced with 3 Titans in his face to where he could not get the 1st down and certainly couldn't get in the end zone.
And Dan Fouts, we welcome those that have been watching other NFL action on CBS. New England has won. Of course, Tennessee hoping and Miami hoping that the Patriots would be upset. That would benefit them in their wild card ambitions. And Houston, a close win as well. They stay in the wild card hunt. And it comes down to this play. 4th down and 1 for a 1st down. 2 yards for a touchdown. And Tony Sparano's Dolphins, who have been in a ton of close games all year long. They've won 6 games by less than 7 points. They need a 1st down. Henne, he's got a man wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Fasano. The tight end, Anthony Fasano, totally free in the end zone. Now the 2-point try.
They came with the heavy run look with Polite and Williams in the game. Great play fake by Henne. Good mobility. And how does Fasano get so wide open? Well, there's a lot of substitutes in that Tennessee Titan defense. Linebackers, Thornton is out with an injury prior to the game. Keith Bullock went out. So they're working against linebackers that do not have the experience.
And Henne is out of the game. Pat White in the Pat Cat with Ronnie Brown on the injured list. Jeff Fisher says he wants the clock to be rolling on the play clock. Pat White comes in checking the wristband. That isn't a good sign. Some uncertainty here as Miami breaks huddle looking for 2 to tie.
Now Fisher's right. The play clock should have been running.
The give is to Ricky Williams. He's got the 2 points. And we're tied at 24. The Miami Dolphins, trailing 24-6 early in this 2nd half, have rallied with 18 unanswered points to tie Jeff Fisher's Tennessee Titans. Tennessee 6-7, Miami 7-6 coming in, both with chances to play on into January.
Well, out in front was Nate Garner and the great blocking fullback Lusaka Polite. And then you add to that the effort by Ricky Williams to dive and beat the tacklers to get the 2-pointer.
And the Tennessee Titans have their 3 timeouts and 1:34 to go to try to get in field goal range. And Tony Sparano, the other good part, they go 90 yards. That drive started back at the 10, and they had to use only 1 timeout. So both coaches have timeouts to spend here as well.
Now that's what this time of year and the playoffs in their future is all about, the intensity level that drive led by Chad Henning. Of course, they get the great break when Michael Griffin can't make the interception. Hartline makes the grab. That gave the life they needed to get the touchdown and the two-pointer.
And Henne, his first year as a starter here, replacing Chad Hennington, 345 yards, his best. Down it comes to Kenny Britt, the wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. And he returns it out to the 31-yard line. Young. That one hops out at the 50-yard line to Nate Washington.
You know, they have a lot of time. They have all three of their timeouts to work with. And they really only need to get about 40 yards to get Baronis in range. Remember, Baronis has a big leg.
He's kicked one of only 4 players in NFL history to kick a field goal 60 yards or more. And, of course, holds a record for 8 in one game against Houston 2 years ago.
And his 53-yarder this year against Houston was a game winner. Clutch.
Second and 10 at the 32. Young with 3 touchdown throws in the game. Fires to the sideline, incomplete. Broken up as he goes for Washington again. And the coverage by Vontae Davis. Davis intercepted the very first pass of the game thrown by Young. Led to a field goal for Miami. But since then, he's been burned twice for touchdowns. But he makes the play here.
Yeah, he's got one of those cornerback short memories. Big play that time to knock that one down.
And now with 1:15 to go, there's we're guessing the 37-yard line for about a 53, 54-yarder. But here the Titans need 10 yards and a first down, or Miami is going to get the ball back with a couple of timeouts. Big throw coming up from Young to the sidelines, complete, but short of the first down. Scaife, the tight end, made the catch, and then he dropped the ball.
Yeah, he was hit. Yeah, he was hit there. The ball comes out. Vontae Davis makes the knockout there. Also, by knocking that ball loose, stops the clock.
65 seconds to go.
So a couple of big plays there by Vontae Davis.
Well, that ball did not come out. It was a catch at the shy of the 40-yard line. Down in possession. And now the punting team on, as the Dolphins had to use a timeout after the catch. So 1:08 left. 1 timeout for Miami, as the Dolphins spoiling Jeff Fisher and these loyal Tennessee fans' day, after it appeared the Titans well in command 24-6 early in the second half. Devon Best back to return Brett Kern's punt. Best back at his 16. Ooh, Jason Taylor in there tight. Best fair catch. No, he lets it go. Look at that roll. Perfect for Tennessee. Down at the 2. Jason McCourty, the rookie, to down it. But a great kick by Brett Kern. 59 yards, and he rolls it perfectly to the 2.
Beautiful spiral, and it bites. Rolls towards the end zone, says, nah, I think I'll just take a right-hand turn, back up a little bit. And it's down there. Now Chad Henning. You got 98 yards to go this time.
And Tennessee, with 3 timeouts, can create some havoc of their own. One has to think that from Miami's point of view, that they just want to protect the ball and get to overtime. Ricky Williams gives some breathing room out to the 5 into the arms of Cortland Finnegan.
I'm surprised that the Titans aren't using one of their 3 timeouts here.
They don't count in overtime.
No sense taking them to the overtime period. You only get 2 then.
And Miami in no hurry at all as they huddle in the end zone. They'll be quite satisfied to run one more play and take this to overtime.
Boy, this is a surprising decision by Jeff Fisher. You take all the pressure off the Miami offense right now by not using your timeouts.
Plus, you take the timeouts, you give Miami a chance to fumble, and you have to run another extra play or two. Some bad things can happen. Polite takes the carry, and that will send us to overtime, down to the final second.
And if you used your timeouts and stopped them, you would have forced a punt, and with Barones' big leg, giving him a chance perhaps to kick a winning field goal.
The fiery head coach of the Dolphins, Tony Sparano, has rallied his troops from 24 to 6 down to an overtime tie. And as you all well know, there are the rules. The coin toss will decide who gets the ball first. The 15-minute overtime period. You score in any way, safety, field goal, touchdown, you win the game. Booth reviews, no coaches' challenges. And the winner will have earned the right to entertain hopes for a playoff. However, but the loser, it's just dismal. I mean, there are combinations that would still get the loser into the wild card situation, but it's almost impossible.
Well, you have all these scenarios that you have pointed out so eloquently today. What happens if they end in a tie?
Only you. And that's
All right, gentlemen, we'll play up to 15 minutes of overtime. First team to score wins. You'll each get 2 timeouts. All replay situations will be handled upstairs in the booth.
what are you going to call
Miami,
here?
Tails.
What's your call?
You call tails?
Heads is the call.
Miami calls heads.
Head is a head. They want to receive. Okay.
I had a 50-50 chance.
As we get ready for the kickoff to open this overtime, there's the situation in the AFC East. New England has won. They're on top at 9-5. Miami 7-6. The Jets beaten today by Atlanta. Tennessee and Miami both in the wild card situation for Miami. They need to win all games, and New England to lose one of their final 2 to win the AFC East. But there's the wild card showcase. Denver and Baltimore in the best position, and then all 6 of those teams still with a chance. 2 of those being the ones we watch here. But a win is imperative, and the momentum is all on the side of the visitors from Miami. They've scored the last 18 points of the game, including a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie, and win the toss, get the first possession to open the OT. Ted Ginn Jr. hasn't really put a dent on any of his kickoff returns today. Let's see what happens here as Barones sends it spinning 1 yard deep. And that's about how it's gone today. 20-yard line and a little more. That's where Chad Henne and the offense takes over for Miami. And this young man out of the University of Michigan, replacing Chad Pennington in the 3rd game when Pennington out for the year with a shoulder injury, just improving on the job. Each game better and better. He's 7-3 as a starter, and he's been able to rally his team from that sizable deficit.
Yeah, he's 27 of 43 for 345. That big touchdown to Fasano and 2 interceptions.
Fake to Ricky Williams, and then he passes to Polite, the fullback, who was banged down hard at the 27-yard line by Stephen Tulloch. Dan Carpenter, the kicker for Miami, has been very consistent. He's missed only 2 all season. He's 22 for 24. Doesn't quite have the leg of Barones, but he is going in the right direction, left to right, has a slight favoring wind. Second and a long 5. Henne pumps and then goes back into the flat to Devon Bess, and Bess scoots along the sidelines, knocked out of bounds short of the first down at the 30-yard line.
The last 2 pass plays, Henne's done a good job of coming off to his outlet receiver. Hadn't picked up a lot of yards, but he hasn't forced the ball down the field, bringing up this gigantic 3rd down now for both teams.
With all the players along the sidelines, couldn't quite see where Bess stepped out of bounds, but he stepped out early at the 27, so it's 3rd and a tough 6. Tennessee shows a 5-man rush. They've been rushing 4 most of the day. Henne intercepted. Griffin doesn't miss this one, and he goes down at the 42-yard line. Griffin had a chance at an interception on the last Miami drive and bobbled it right into the arms of Hartline. Now let's see what the flag is.
Flag is after the play. Perhaps a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But they got great pass rush out of that 5-man rush. First time today that I've noticed they went with 5. Vanden Bosch got right in the face of Chad Henne.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, late hit, number 83, 15-yard penalty, first down.
The wide receiver, Greg Camarillo, with a late hit after the interception, and that puts, with a penalty, pushes Tennessee already into field goal range.
Let's check out this 5-man rush. I talked about Vanden Bosch. Here he is looping to the inside here, forcing Henne to throw that ball high. And when he does, there's Griffin. He's not going to drop that one. And then he does a smart thing at just getting down, not losing any extra yardage.
So the interception and the penalty take it to the 27-yard line. Chris Johnson, the spectacular running back, can't get outside. Wrestled down by Kendall Langford. Chris Johnson with 9 consecutive 100-yard games. He has 103 yards today. Spectacular season. There's Baronis. Chance perhaps coming up to win a very important game for the Tennessee Titans, who incredibly started this year, after last year going 13-3, started this year 0-6. And yet if they should win today, they pulled even at 500, 7-7, with Vince Young at quarterback, 7-1. Here's Johnson protecting the ball, and the crowd of Miami tacklers led by Philip Merling make the stop.
Here's the penalty on Camarillo. Remember, Griffin went down by himself. He gave himself up. The whistle was blown, but Camarillo goes in to make sure he's down, and that's a tough call against Camarillo, because Griffin gave himself up. You don't normally see that. He was ensuring that he was down, and the flag came out.
Wasn't exactly as if he speared him and maliciously tried to wound him, but he did have a little contact.
Certainly put the Titans in great field position.
3rd and long. Will Young risk a short pass? No, he stays with Johnson. And Johnson again, they're just waiting for him to take the handoff. It stopped at the 28-yard line. And the ball is stolen, but after the whistle, as that wily veteran Jason Taylor reaching in there trying to come up with it. He knows how. He's got 6 fumble return touchdowns in his career, a total of 9 defensive touchdowns. But this all for naught, as here comes Rob Baronis.
That's hard to tell when the whistle was blown, when forward progress was stopped, but you know Taylor was trying to rip the ball out. Now I'm sure Baronis would like to be a little bit closer.
46 yards will be the attempt. For the win, and to pull the Titans out of that 0-6 hole to 7-7.
And on a cold day, the Dolphins decide to freeze Rob Baronis.
The battle for an entire season, and 2 teams who started so slowly and still with hopes of the playoffs, and it comes down to the right foot of Baronis for a Tennessee win. High snap. Kick is good. Tennessee wins. Rob Baronis pays another field goal dividend. He kicks the Tennessee Titans to a 27-24 win over Tony Sperano's game Miami team that made it a fight from 24-6 down to tie it at 24 to force the overtime. But the interception by Griffin, the penalty, and now Baronis money from 46.
Good snap, perfect hold, and a game winner for Baronis. One more time.